The ranch has always been this huge challenge for me. When I came home, my college friends that I made, none of them were in this area. My high school friends were gone, so I was caught between a rock and a hard place a little bit. Isolated area of western Nebraska, right? It feels lonely, but there's still people. It's a challenge to find them, find ones that have the same interests as you. I was traveling 3-4 hours to catch up with people. That's a challenge I think a lot of us feel out here in the West.
I grew up in Waverly, Nebraska, which is on the eastern side of the state. We had a little bit of alfalfa, a little bit of corn, a few cows, some pigs. I went to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln and met David.
Christy and I were friends to a level of communication and being bros with each other.
And then we were better friends, and then we were best friends, and then he graduated and left.
When I came home and I struggled with being alone, she checked on me, she came and visited, and I realized how lucky I was to have her in my life. I've grown in love with her more and more every day.
You know, it'd be really cool if this just worked out.
Then the next part is they have to love the ranch just as much as me. I'm not gonna leave it. And when I proposed to her on top of the butte that overlooks the entire ranch.
In that moment, I told myself, I am never letting this go. I don't want to leave this ranch.
I knew right then in the words she said to me that I was safe. That's the number one goal in life. I want to continue the legacy that we've built. I'm still in the learning process. I am 10 months in with Christy and love my life.
I don't know how people pass on their farm or ranch to their kids. Butch and Susan are still very much in it and still the brains and the operation behind it.
Knowing that the ranch will transition to David and Christy, it made me feel relieved. Not a lot of families have that opportunity to see the next generation step up and take over or join the operation.
Susan is brilliant. The way she thinks and organizes things and can keep track of all of the information. She has a lot of systems.
So this would be our current bills and financial items.
It's crazy that Mom does a job that should be 2 jobs. We call it the cow sense part of the inventorying of the cattle, the registrations, the customer service. She answers the phone first.
David, sometimes I actually give him a dose of reality and he calls it a Debbie Downer. David is not a Debbie Downer or a realistic Rhonda. He's go big or go home. But you also need to be prepared for what might happen. It's not going to be happiness 24/7.
When kids come back and they've got lots of ability, maybe they've gone to college and learned lots and they're enthusiastic and they've got a lot of energy and they want to be part of the operation and have some input into it. For the older generation, that may be really tough to let go of things. Maybe they've been running the ranch for 40 years and giving a little bit is hard for them.
Christy and I are trying to make this game plan of how are we going to help alleviate. My dad has been in a CEO role on the ranch. Even when my grandparents were alive, he was making a lot of the decisions like buying pivots or financing land. I know I don't have those experiences. The transition of decision making probably hasn't happened yet.
It's not like, okay, here's the key to the house. Go ahead and do it now.
Transitions happen gradually through the years.
And I understand there's always this anger and argument between parents and kids on how to run things, and that's normal.
Butch is never going to retire. He's going to be here in some capacity doing something until he physically cannot be. I hope David tolerates that.
David, there are definitely times where he'll come up with an idea and whether it's good or not, Butch will listen to it. And sometimes it's good, and sometimes they do things differently. There's a long way to go before it's truly transitioned.
David will have challenges down the road that he will have to deal with, whether it's financial or health crises. There's people that are 50 years older than he is that said that we never seen such a drought as we had a few years ago. Or I've never seen such a fire as what we had here 3 years ago. Or we've never seen such a blizzard as we had here last winter. We were scared to go to town because we didn't think we'd get back to the ranch. I think there'll always be challenges. And as I get older, I think my skills will probably deteriorate. I mean, a little bit all the time, and I see his get better all the time.
My family worked so hard while I was gone to come back and be able to make this work, and now we're growing together as my skills evolve, as my family's skills evolve, and how we can make this work.